Welcome to Stevie's Kitchen. Today I got a classic that I'm gonna elevate a little bit, something that you can make for yourself, and if you have kids, something that they will enjoy together. So this will be one of these meals that you can sit down with your kids, your significant other, and just reminisce and have a good old time. Today we're making an elevated peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And first off, we're gonna get started. I have 3 cups of peanuts here. They're just your regular peanuts. Put them on a sheet pan with a little bit of parchment. Probably the most simple step you'll have. We're just gonna press these out so it's nice and flat. We're gonna pop these into the oven at 350 for about 10 minutes so we can get a little roast on them. And then we're gonna pop them in our food processor. Now we're gonna get started on some homemade strawberry jelly. Most kids, like myself, peanut butter and jelly were always grape jelly. And then these Uncrustables came out, and all of a sudden Uncrustables with strawberry jelly became the new craze. And they are good, so I can't even hate. So I am making a strawberry jelly jam to go on top of these. The biggest thing for me with peanut butter and jelly, as athletes, if all of y'all been in college, not just because they were cheap and affordable, but they actually were just all over training camp. Every single training camp that I was ever a part of had peanut butter and jellies, just had snack time all the time. Before practice, after practice, before bed. They're a great source of protein. They fill you up, they're easy, they're portable. And don't make too much of a mess if you don't have to make them yourself. So these are just naturally things that I've been around my whole life. Always eating peanut butter and jellies. So now I'm excited to make my own jelly for it, make my own peanut butter for it. So now that we got all of our strawberries cut up, mind you, this is 2 pounds of strawberries. Probably should have said that in the beginning. But now I have 1 1/4 cups of sugar, just pure white sugar that we're gonna put on here. I'm gonna juice 1 lemon. This is all that's gonna go in our jam. So now we're just gonna keep this on a medium heat to start off with and kind of let all this sugar reduce down, and it's gonna bring out the liquids in the strawberries. And then after about 10 minutes, once everything's kind of starting to liquefy a little bit, we're gonna turn up this heat so we can now get it to start boiling. And then we'll let that go for another 5-10 minutes. And then reduce it back down, let it simmer, and then we'll turn it off, and then you'll have your strawberry jelly. Let's get back to this peanut butter. So now that our peanuts are out the oven, slowly, just slightly cooled, just a few minutes, we're gonna get them all into, you can either use a blender or the hell is this thing called?
Food processor?
Yep. So now that we got our peanuts out the oven, you can either use a blender or a food processor here. We're just gonna get them all in. This was my one attempt to try to get many in as I could. Just a few stragglers. All right. So this might take a little bit. You're just gonna wanna keep pulsing until you get them to the desired, I wanna say creaminess that you desire. But until you get a nice smooth peanut butter is what you're going for. So right now, I'm just gonna add in about a tablespoon of honey, just because I like a little honey in my peanut butter. This is totally up to you. If you wanna do it, you can, but you don't have to. I personally just like a little honey in my peanut butter. And back till we get a nice smooth peanut butter. Now we're at the point where a lot of this liquid from the strawberries has reduced. The natural sugars that are in the strawberry plus the sugars that we added in are all started to melt down. And so we can crank up the heat a little bit to kind of get this to more of a boil. So now what we're trying to do is reduce a lot of that liquid that's in there. So now you just get that strong strawberry flavor that everybody loves when you have jam. So now we're pretty much getting reduced down to the point where we want it at. Still have a lot of chunks of strawberry in here. So I'm just gonna get out my immersion blender and just kind of puree this a little bit in here. If you have chunks in your jam, it's more of a preserve. I want more of a jam, so that's why I'm going to puree it a little bit. So after I pureed it, I just let it simmer for another 5 minutes on low. So we're now starting to get to that point where we want, where it's slightly thick. And so we're just gonna remove this from heat and then let it cool. And then once it cools down, then you'll get more of that jam texture. So one thing not to worry about with your peanut butter, it is gonna take a little bit longer, especially depending on your food processor type, depending on the blender type. They're not all created equal. So you just want to keep going until you get the desired consistency that you want. That's really all it comes down to with peanut butter. And I'm almost there. I just have to keep pushing it down a little bit, but we're making good progress. I think for another probably about 4 minutes, and then it'll be right on track where I want it to be. All right, now it's time to build this adult peanut butter and jelly. So I have a little bit of maple syrup that I'm gonna take here and put on my bread. I just have some regular sourdough bread. I got my griddle set at 350. And then I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit of this on here. If it comes out. And essentially I'm just adding this maple syrup on here so it just allows it to caramelize a little bit better. These both down. So now we got our homemade peanut butter. I'm gonna use a spoon. Since I didn't use really any oil in mine, it's still just gonna be, it's smooth, but you'll have a little slight grittiness to it, which is completely fine and normal. A trick that you could use if you want to get a little bit smoother peanut butter. I had a chef friend tell me one time, if you take some tahini and pour it in there, it'll give you a little bit more of that smooth consistency, but then it also kind of makes like a superfood for you. Victor, I'll make sure I'll give you your flowers for that one. And now I'm gonna put on our homemade strawberry jelly, jam. Now it's time for our adult peanut butter and jelly taste test. Got great caramelization. This is way different than peanut butter and jellies I had back in the day. I just think everything being homemade just definitely elevates a little bit. It's not as sweet as the jelly that you're normally used to. The peanut butter, like I said, since it's been now cooked down, it's smooth again. It's nice and creamy. I can eat plenty of these.